sometimes it's disgusting how we have this rise of making men look weak.
We out here in these streets.
All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about diversity today. First of all, I wanted to look up the word diversity. I wanted to kind of clearly get what the definition of diversity means. So here is the definition that I pulled up for diversity. It says the state of being diverse. Variety, right? State of being diverse. So I said, okay, since it's a state of being diverse, let's look at diverse. What does it mean? Showing a great deal of variety. Very different. That's the other one. Very different. So here, first of all, I want to make this statement. I believe that America is probably the most diverse country in the world. We have the most diverse entertainment industry. We have diversity in music. We have diversity in business. Each of these things make up the fabric and the makeup of America, which is a diverse country. Now, knowing that, and I'm going to get into our movies, because I've been looking on a lot of YouTube and seeing how when movies are coming out, like especially in the Marvel universe, like you will have these people who get up and just complain about the fact that there is not this representation. Where's the gay representation? Where's the black representation? The Latin? It's just it doesn't really come too much from the black people anymore, and or other ethnicities as much as it does from a certain community, the alphabet community, and there's this always push to have so-called diversity in these individual things that I say make up America. Like, I give you an instance, and I'm gonna give this exact analogy here. I go to a Chinese restaurant. When I go to a Chinese restaurant, do I actually need diversity within that Chinese restaurant? No. Why? Because if I go to a Chinese restaurant and I see like a Latino or a black person making Asian cuisine. Now, I'm not saying that they're not capable of making it or probably not qualified. They probably are well qualified to make the food and probably studied it. But the authenticity of it, the feel, I'm going to get a Chinese feel, a Chinese cuisine. So how much better would that experience be for me if I have somebody who is of Chinese descent who knows a lot about their food, making their food? And I hear y'all like, oh, Chris, that's stupid because, sometimes they don't even know how to make their own food. Maybe this person knows how to make it better. That's good and all. And I'm not saying that you can't do that. Just as like there's some people who weren't born in other countries that speak other languages. But how much better would it be, the language would be coming from somebody who's native, who speak the language since child versus somebody who learned it? It's a lot more authentic. There's a lot more to it. There's an experience that becomes behind that because that person lives that culture and is that culture. So I don't necessarily go into a Chinese restaurant and say, hey, why isn't there a black person working here in this business? Because I understand it's a Chinese restaurant. The fact that it's a Chinese restaurant brings the diversity to us as a whole. I don't need a black person to be working there. I need a Chinese person to be working there so that I can have that Chinese food and its authenticity. Now let's go to these movies that people like, and you notice that Marvel is doing a lot, especially with Disney, and you even see this in the DC world with the CW, where there is this forced diversity. I have to make a character that's this color. I have to make a character that's this sexual orientation. I have to have at least some type of gay representation. I have to have, this. It's just. To me, it's taken away from the fact that our TV and our movies and our entertainment is supposed to just entertain us. Like, and then we have this whole thing about the women's thing where, well, we don't have enough women representation. You know what? if Superman, and I'm not gonna say it's because they have a Superwoman, a Supergirl, but why change Superman to Superwoman when he's always been Superman? Oh, because it's a male-dominated society, and then well, that's so weird. Why is that popping out like that? Sorry, guys. Here's my thing. If this character is written, I don't care what era was written in, if there was like some type of male dominance back in the era when it was written, who cares? The character was created in that era, and the character did what it needed to do. And the thing that Superman represented, it had nothing to do with maleness anyway. And sometimes I get a little angry when we have people in this world who take something that's supposed to be fiction and entertainment and something that just puts us in a fantasy world, and we want to take this and make this thing more than what it really is. It's a superhero movie. There was that big controversial when Captain Marvel came out, when they found out that Captain Marvel was going to actually be a woman. You know, everybody was in an uproar, you know, but then again, only reason why it was in an uproar is because people made it a point to say, hey, we need to have this woman representation. And then it was just kind of like, you have the people who are like me, or true to the comic book, who are true to the essence of these superheroes, is like, who cares? Is it going to be a good movie? They could have made it a woman without even saying it. They could have just said, hey, Captain Marvel came in as a woman. Oh, but I've been dope. You know, to me, that would have been dope. I wouldn't have thought of it as something that had to happen to empower women, or to fight against male dominancy and stuff like that. Like the community at large is trying to make it. It's a superhero movie. These are movies like even with the Black Panthers, we had this thing like, oh, it's the biggest black grossing movie. All this black. Who cares? Black Panther obviously is Black Panther. When was it George Lucas wrote it? I think I got the wrong guy. Sorry, not George Lucas, but when wrote it. He's slipping my mind, but when he wrote it as Black Panther. He was a black guy. It took place in Africa. It was centered around that. So that to me is something that should have happened in the first place. Why did we have to make it such a big deal that it was a black movie? It was all black class, black this, and that to me kills the ideal of diversity anyway. We can see that as black. Let it display what it needs to display, but we don't have to alienate all of the cultures that make us diverse. We talk about diversity so much, especially on the left. And we talk about how we got to celebrate diversity, but we're constantly bringing up the differences. We're constantly bringing up separation. We're constantly bringing up black this. We got to have black this. And that's nothing but a different form of racism. Like, why do we have to have that? Like, it's almost like saying, it's like I would never, in my thing is, I would never want to see a character that's traditionally created some way change to something else just because we want to make a bunch of people feel good. Because it doesn't make people feel good. It's just saying that, for me, it makes me feel like we're not capable of coming up with substantial characters within our diverse groups. We have to take a character that's already substantial in order to build some type of self-worth in our community. And that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot when we believe that we need a representation in somebody's movie to make us feel good about ourselves instead of making our own. I love the Spike Lees of America, how back in the day, they didn't wait for somebody to put them in a movie. They went and created their own movies. And we have some of the greatest movies like Harlem Night and like even Coming to America. These movies, Do the Right Thing, you know, just great African American movies that came out of just doing it and not worrying about whether we have representation over here in this movie or not. I like the fact that And some of y'all don't get on me. We talking about Bill Cosby right here. I know some of y'all think he's guilty. I personally don't think he's guilty. I just believe that it was a conspiracy. The fact that he got convicted on hearsay, it's just a bunch of crap. That whole story messed me up. I'm mad that they took somebody who put positivity. He displayed positive things. I don't care what y'all say. Y'all can say he's this. None of y'all got the proof. He got convicted on word. I watched the whole trial. There was no real evidence. And I'm tired of people getting convicted just because somebody said something. If that's the way the world is, all of us black folks we finna be in jail real soon if that's where the world is going. But that's a whole nother thing. So let's get back on this. Bill Cosby was able to display us in a light that weren't prevalent in other films or in other TV shows that were created by other cultures. He put us in a light where we were doctors, we were intelligent. It displayed the Cosby Show and Different World displayed the intelligence, the rich culture of the black community, without having to, this is a black this, is a black this. And I appreciated that. He showed black people there's a different side to just being low-class workers and entertainers and basketball players and sports moguls. Show that we had more to us. There was jazz. Throughout that show, he showed jazz, the culture of jazz, and he did not. And then the funny thing is, he didn't alienate anybody. He had a lot of other cultures on that show. People who contribute to the great American ideal that was jazz, the great American idea that the African American community added to America's value. I love that about the Cosby Show, because he was able to do that without having to, we need to have this representation. We need to have this. He represented the family values that we had. And I say had because it seems like we're losing that the more and more time gets on. Family values, all these things that he displayed without having to say, we need representation in that movie. We didn't take All in the Family and made a black version of All in the Family. We had the Jeffersons. We had the Cosby Show. We had Sanford and Son. These great shows. We had Good Times. Yes, it showed our realities of what we were going through, but that's what we needed. And we continued to grow within our population. So why is it that we expect places like Marvel and these to have certain people? Like, I was looking at the new Captain Marvel movie that's about to come out. I saw that they were looking for a female. Was it a female? Thinking of it, you see, I be losing my words. A female director, and for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why. Why couldn't they just find somebody who's qualified to embody the vision? I get it. They want somebody who's feminist based. I know what they're doing. It's very apparent because that's what they're trying to do with Captain Marvel. But why do you think that somebody else couldn't do that, whether they male or female? To me, that's another form of discrimination. See, in that situation, that's just a director of a movie. I can see if you had it in a movie, I want a feminist. Like, okay, you being strategic, but why are we making our movies to especially the superhero movies? Superheroes movies have already had their own agendas. They had what they're about. We want to put these agendas in our movies. For what? What are we trying to do? And it's called indoctrination. And they want to act like that they're not doing it. They want to act like that they're just making a movie and they're just doing this and they're just trying to empower this and empower that. But at the same time, it's still indoctrination. You're pushing something that don't need to be pushed in a movie. It's a superhero movie. You want to make a movie about feminism, make a movie about feminism. Make a movie with a feminist person that struggled, whatever. But why are you taking something that's supposed to be funny, supposed to be our escape from the world? It's supposed to be, these movies are, when I remember when I was reading these comic books were escapes. And mind you, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to have some type of message to your movie and you can't put agendas in the movie. Let me take that back. You could put them in there. But this is something that's going to inherently happen with the story. Why is there this push that we're pushing all these agendas and we're not making good movies? Even with the last Star Wars, maybe these last few Star Wars, the whole saga with Rey. I'm a Star Wars fan, so I'm gonna watch it anyway. But sometimes it's disgusting how we have this rise of making men look weak. And in reality, we're not weak. Why is that? Why is all of these movies trying to, like, I even look at the fact that in the comic book, Thor was one of the strongest superheroes, one of the strongest beings in the galaxy. Thor was able to handle Thanos. But in this movie, you can't. And in a sense, it took Captain Marvel to come down and destroy a whole big ship, which Thor should have been able to do with the power that he had as an Asgardian. Any Asgardian, really. So it's like it's like this agenda that goes on in a movie that's trying to make men weaker than what they really are. And I don't understand that, you know. But hey, comment, let me know what you think. You probably think that I'm crazy, but if you do, you just do. That's just my take on it. I really believe we should just let movies be movies. It's okay. I'm not saying that it's not okay to put representation, but if it's not there, what are we tripping about? Who cares? It's a movie. Does the movie tell the story? Does it matter that we had a scene of a gay couple kissing? No, it doesn't. It doesn't add to the story. It doesn't. Who cares? I see it too much where we have people always crying about, we don't have this in it. If the movie don't need that in it, then we don't need it in it. Let the movie be the movie. Anyways, we'll be back after this. Here's the question of the day. Do you feel like you are underrepresented when you don't see your ethnicity or sexual orientation displayed in a movie or a TV show? Why or why not? Let me know. Comment below. Converse amongst one another. I can never get that out. I do this every show. Converse among one another. That's how you do it, right? Converse among one another. Let us know what you think. I want to see you guys' comments. I might, I want to be able to talk about some of you guys' comments and thoughts in one of my lives coming up. So go ahead and do that, and we'll be back after. Thank you guys for joining me on this show. I really appreciate that. Kenda, make sure you like, and subscribe. All my social medias, that's Chris Conscious. That's the Wiley Life. That's Speed Music Radio, and also Cypher on the Block. You can find me on all of those. You don't have to subscribe to all, but I would like if you do subscribe to all. I have a Patreon account. That's Wiley Life at Patreon, patreon.com/The Wiley Life. Please go ahead and if you support my show. I also have a store. You can get t-shirts, you can get mugs, like you can get my Feel Me, woo, or you can get my We Out Here in the Streets shirt. And then I have a lot of other hoodies and stuff coming. I got my Get Big Elite stuff. If you guys are into fitness and workout, very nice things that you guys can support the show by purchasing. Excuse me, that was a nasty burp. So, hey, I appreciate you guys. And until next time, we out here in these streets.